ahead of time by calling Kyrie an idiot, by calling him stupid, by saying he don't make sense. What it do? What it do? What it do, everybody? What it do? We back up in this thing again for the 20th time. Special episode 20, you dig?
That 20 ball.
Of the ShiftMakers podcast. A 20 ball, that's absolutely right. As you already know, you got your host. I am your host, L the Designer, co-hosting along with me. I normally be like, we got a special guest. I got my very loyal partner, my brother, Lil Rock, you dig?
What's good, man?
How you doing, bro? How you doing?
Hey, I'm looking forward to the new year, son.
At this point, bro, I don't want to say that's all we got to look forward to, but that's how they trying to make it seem, bro. That's definitely the vibe they trying to give off. Well, I'm glad you're doing straight, and at least you got something to look forward to.
Of course.
Personally, bro, I've been looking forward to running another one with you, dog. Everybody normally like these podcasts that I got with you, so I definitely do, enjoy every time we able to set some time aside to record with each other, you did.
Facts. That's love, man.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. You already know where we coming from. And with all of that being said, I'm going to just get right into it because I know you got an early flight you got to catch right quick. So let me just jump into our topic.
All right.
I got something very special that I know me and you both know a great deal about because we very avid NBA fans, I say. And this isn't just about sports. This isn't necessarily a sports podcast, of course, but it has something, of course, to do with sports because we're going to be talking about our good friend, Mr. Kyrie Irving.
All right.
How that sound,
Duke
dog?
product. Yeah, I rock with Kyrie.
Oh, you say he a Duke product and that nigga only played 5 games at Duke?
It's all right. That's all right. His name on the resume.
I got you, bro. As long as his name there, huh, son? It don't even matter what he did, dog. But yeah, you absolutely right, bro. The Duke product, the Celtics product, the Cleveland product, the Nets product. What other team he been on at this point? Nigga done been on about 5 teams because everybody act like they don't want him until they need him. Again, we talking about Kyrie Irving. And it's not really just a conversation, of course, as to how Kyrie Irving played, because we all know he that nigga. We all know Kyrie Irving could definitely ball. We all know Kyrie Irving ain't to be played with. But it's more so just a little bit of a deep dive on, say, the media and how they treat Kyrie Irving.
Right.
So I personally don't feel like it's all on the media. I'll be realistic. I'll be honest. We all know everything isn't all just to be blamed on the media. But I do feel like Kyrie Irving, he does make it kind of easy for them solely because of how he articulates himself and how he speak. How you feel? How you feel about it?
Yeah, I don't want to compare him to anyone in particular, but I can, kind of see the same thing when it comes to Kanye. It's the way he says things, it just kind of makes it easy to make it a headline, So yeah, it's kind of the same. A similar ordeal.
I like that, bro. Elaborate on that a little bit more.
So
I think that's interesting.
Basically, kind of, I think one of the most popular ones was, slavery was a choice. Of course, he didn't blatantly mean it as, black people just chose to be slaves. But
you're talking about Kanye.
Kanye, yeah, talking about Kanye. But of course, it was the way he worded it and the way he articulated himself. It didn't come across the way he intended it to. So that immediately, gave the media headlines to run with and to paint narratives. With Kyrie, more so, I think sometimes he's so vague in some of the things he says. I don't want to even say vague, but I don't know. They leave the door open for misinterpretation, I feel like.
And I mean, at certain points, I do feel like, and by the way, I just completely agree with you. Mm-hmm. Like that is they whole little deal. You know, they do leave the door for interpretation. They do speak very ambiguous, if you will. But I feel like with Kyrie Irving and of course with Kanye, they don't necessarily know how to read the room when it comes to their audience. Mm-hmm. I feel like they have a very tough time, truly. And I don't even know if they have a tough time understanding that or if they do it on purpose because they may be excellent trolls and great marketers, because that could be the case. Because every time they do that, their name is, you know, in the news for a week. So it's, right. You know, it could all be marketing. We don't really truly know. But, you know, when it comes to how they do this, I do feel like they really do have a tough time reading their audience at certain points. Like, say, for instance, when you were just saying that slavery is a choice thing with Kanye, it's like everybody already on your ass for supporting Trump. And, you know, at the time, people, of course, had their feelings about Trump and shit, and had their feelings just about everything regarding race relations because of it was just hot. It was a hot topic at the time. And, you know, the last thing people need to be hearing in their ears is the term slavery is, you know, just the sentence slavery is a choice, right, if they feel like everything is racist. So you gotta, if you do want to deliver that message, you gotta just figure out a better way to do it. And I think it's kind of the same thing with Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. He has a very tough time kind of doing that and delivering his message. Sometimes I don't think it's the truth, just what he may be saying. Sometimes I do feel like it could possibly be the truth. He just has a very tough time articulating that to his audience because it's just the wrong time.
I can agree with that.
Or the wrong way he's saying it. Yeah. And just to kind of give us an example of that, we have our first clip of the day. It's going to be coming from, I honestly don't know how to pronounce this lady's name, but I got it from YouTube, and it was, I believe, a UConn, the college or university UConn. One of the coaches, they were interviewing Kyrie Irving, and I believe her name is Gino Aramima.
You
Gino
just go ahead and give it up, bro.
That's what we gonna roll with. Gino Aramima interviewed Kyrie Irving, and basically they were kind of speaking on why Kyrie Irving had his comments on the earth being flat. So, before we get into that clip, give me your opinion. Do you feel like the earth flat, bro? And be honest, I know you didn't told me, you know, the moon and shit ain't real, so you know, be honest.
What we not gonna do is fabricate stories on this platform. but nah, I believe the earth is round.
Oh, it's a very interesting finding.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you for a plethora of reasons, but what I'm not gonna do is shit on someone for having their own little personal take and opinion, especially if they willing to give a reason why. Now, if they're not really willing to give a reason why they feel like that, then I feel like we may have the means to shit on that particular take. But let's hear the reason why.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Kyrie Irving on the flat earth.
Started actually doing research on my own and figuring out that there is no real picture of Earth. Like, there's not one picture of Earth. And we haven't been back to the moon since 1961 or 1969. And you start, and then it becomes like conspiracy theories.
So you heard him, right?
When I started actually doing research on my own.
So you heard basically, and my bad, y'all, this is a pretty low quality clip. And he basically was just kind of sort of speaking on, of course, there not being evidence of the earth being round, basically, like the pictures. He's saying that there's no real circumstantial evidence of pictures of the earth, basically.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, you know, that's debatable because there's satellite, if you do truly believe in satellite technology. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I let him have his little thing. Yeah. However, he does kind of make a point as far as, and I'm going to just go ahead and let him repeat it.
started actually doing research on my own and figuring out that there is no real picture of Earth. Like, there's not one picture of Earth. And we haven't been back to the moon since 1961 or 19...
So he's saying we haven't been back to the moon in X amount of years.
Mm-hmm.
He does make that point, which is I think it adds a little bit of fuel to his argument, and most people argument that have that little flat earth ordeal thing in their mind.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't been back to the moon in so long, people wonder, well, why haven't we? Because we have. It ain't like technology haven't got more advanced.
Right.
Ain't like people haven't got more interested in the shit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, those type of questions, it begs, some answers as to, well, why haven't we? And
that is a good question, now that I'm thinking about it.
Right. Because, and I'll just play devil advocates in this instance. So in his mind, right, they're thinking, well, if we haven't been back to the moon in, say, I think he said like 1961 or some shit. Mm-hmm. However many years ago that was, that's damn near, well, shit, that is around 50 years. It's literally 50 years ago. So we haven't been back to the moon in 50 years. Mad interest in going back. Technology has gotten easier. We've gotten more money as a country to do that. What's the reason as to why we haven't? Especially if we're trying to go to Mars and we're trying to do this and that. And then they're thinking, well, shit, the reason could be we literally could now take pictures as to what the Earth truly looks like, or we can actually get a visual as to what the Earth truly looks like instead of just relying on their made satellite technology. And by there, of course, we're referring to the government and these major corporations, because these are the only people who have access to this satellite imagery. I mean, you see what I'm saying, right?
I see what you're saying. I mean, but at the same time, too, I can also say, with us having a satellite up in space already and sending rovers to Mars, and actually recently I just saw something where they were speaking to they were actually able to send a satellite to the sun. Now, of course, there's a atmospheric layer, above the surface of the sun. So they consider passing that layer as basically reaching the sun. It took, I want to say 8 years. Don't quote me on that. 8 years for the satellite to get there. But I mean, there's other things I can point to outside of us just going to the moon, where it's like, well, we are out there in space, and I don't know, bro. I think it's all a reach, but that might just be me.
I mean, I agree with you though. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I do still am of the mindset that the Earth is round. I'm just trying to get a little bit more of an understanding out there as to why people may think like that.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of similar to back to maybe like our third episode as to when we was talking about the Capitol riots, when I'm like, I completely disagree as to they thinking that's okay to do that shit. But I'm trying to see why the fuck they thought that shit was okay to do, and why they think they want to vote for Donald Trump and all that shit. I'm just trying to get it more of an understanding as to why Kyrie Irving and his flat earth followers, I guess you would call them, think this way. And I think that could really be just what he was saying now that he's clarifying it a little bit more in his clip. Just the skepticism of, why we're not further advancing in certain areas where we can, when we have the will and the means to. Why aren't we doing it?
Right.
And I think that's kind of his main little thing. And I mean, I'm sure there is answers out there why. It's just he probably don't want to get them. So I say all of that to say this. When it comes to Kyrie Irving, he definitely do think a little bit differently. And he definitely do share different takes than what the normal traditional person kind of do. And to further that a little bit, I want us to now just go a little bit past the flat earth thing and view Kyrie Irving's take on Christmas.
That seems like the man has got a problem with basically...
Oh, well, before we get into that, this is actually coming from the YouTube channel Swish Central. So, of course, I'm going to give you a credit in the episode notes. And again, Kyrie Irving's view on Christmas.
Seems like the man has got a problem with basically every part of everyday human life, but let's try to elaborate. Once, Kyrie said this: "I don't think of Christmas as a holiday. Look, I understand that Christmas isn't for everyone."
And that was basically his quote, mind you. I don't think of Christmas as a holiday. Now we're going to let him just finish.
Individuals just don't like jolly old St. Nick for one reason or another, but let's give Irving the benefit of the doubt and consider why he would dislike this specific holiday. The most likely explanation is that he has had to work practically every Christmas since being selected first overall in the 2011 NBA draft. That is one of the risks of being a high-paid NBA superstar worth millions of dollars.
So, you heard his quote, basically saying, I don't view Christmas as a holiday. He didn't say he don't celebrate Christmas. He didn't say he don't go and get gifts for people. He didn't say he don't enjoy Christmas trees and all this other bullshit. Well, I don't say bullshit, but you know what I'm saying. He didn't say any of that. He just said he doesn't view it as a holiday. And the thing that kind of pissed me off a little bit when I heard the clip, the dude, he knew what he meant because he literally said what he meant. He said, oh, well, you know, Kyrie Irving, he's been working literally 7 of the last 12 Christmases because he's in the NBA. So if someone works on Christmas, they may not view it as a holiday because holiday means in the work field, you have the day off. Right. I mean, it's just adding 2 + 2. So when you go to ESPN though, or when you go to Fox and all this other bullshit, they literally have a headline now saying Kyrie Irving hates Christmas, taking his whole little thing out of context. Right. And it's just like, well, damn, dog, you know what he meant. But he, again, like we were just comparing it with Kanye, he's not clarifying it in a way he, you know, saying, oh, well, I don't have Christmas off, so I don't really view it as a traditional holiday like y'all do. Right. You know, he meant that shit. But again, let's take Kyrie Irving and shit out of context to make him seem a little bit more like a villain. So I want to ask you, why do you feel like they do that?
Well, you know, I think once, let's look at it in terms of movies or TV. There's always, you know, in storylines, there's always good guys and bad guys. And in sports and entertainment, you know, in a way, you can look at it the same way. For example, LeBron going to the Heat, that made the Heat the bad guys. KD going to the Warriors the bad guys now. You know, LeBron went from being a bad guy to being the savior once he went back to Cleveland. So you always have these storylines. And I feel like once, you know, you're in a certain arc of your storyline, which Kyrie is, you know, I don't know when that clip was, but at least as of now, you know, with him doing the whole, you know, the whole holdout and, you know, now he's finally, you know, about to return, but he was in that I think for a lot of Kyrie's career, he's played the outcast / anti-hero, so to say, because he always, you know, goes against the grain. So he had that reputation now. He had that reputation. And when he says certain things, the media is going to take it from that point of view, meaning, you know, well, this is how this guy is. So, you know, we're going to paint it that way. Like you said, he believes the earth is flat. And now he doesn't consider Christmas a holiday. So, you know, now it got to be painted in this negative light to basically keep that whole, what's the word I'm looking for? Like basically just to keep that negative image. I don't even want to say negative because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not really no big deal. But, you know, they have to keep going with what's already been out there.
And, you know, you did kind of specify that a little bit because I was actually questioning that because at first, I will admit, I feel like the media was very friendly to Kyrie. The reason I say this is, I mean, you just look at his career path, right? And just contrast this with the Kyrie Irving of now. So you have his first, I don't know, let's just say 4, 5, 6 years in Cleveland before, of course, he left to go to the Celtics, right? So you have a guy coming into the NBA. Correct me if I'm wrong, but coming into the NBA, Kyrie was hurt, right?
Yes.
I don't know how long of a time he missed, but he didn't start immediately, right?
From what I can remember, yes, because he was hurt at Duke, and I think he was on the back end of his recovery when he got drafted.
Right. And that's what I remember too. Now, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong. Definitely don't be afraid to message me. Y'all have our information, of course, in the show notes. Hit that link tree. Leave a donation if you've got some value. And also, of course, correct us. But, I do feel like he was definitely hurt when he came into the league. This was maybe back in 2010, 2011, 2012. I forgot the exact year, but it was almost a decade ago, damn near. Kyrie Irving got drafted first overall, right?
Right.
So you got a guy, the media was so friendly to him in his recovery because he only played a few games at Duke, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got a guy who was the media so friendly to, because if the media wanted to shit on him, they could have easily done that with him being hurt, like they do with every other person that's normally hurt in college.
Right.
But they didn't know. They built him up to be the next best thing, which he clearly was. It literally was comparing him to Kobe at the time,
mm-hmm.
which, of course, in my opinion, was a pretty accurate comparison just regarding him being able to score.
Right.
I feel like with them being so friendly to him, even though he was hurt and even though they had a very small sample size of what he can do at Duke, that literally helped him get the number 1 overall pick. The media can literally help someone become the number 1 overall pick. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we see it with the hype,
right?
With mad people, Zion. So, you know, I feel like in a lot of these Duke players. So I feel like with Kyrie Irving and his example, the minute he came into the league, he had, I don't want to say an immediate, jump into becoming a superstar because he definitely did have his little bumps in the road as far as scoring and shit. But he was immediately kind of an impactful player when it came to scoring. Like he was already hitting. I remember specifically like his rookie year, like his second year, he was hitting like game-winning shots. I remember that shit.
Right.
So again, the media was treating him pretty well. Like I don't remember anybody talking shit about Kyrie Irving. But guess what was going on, too? Them niggas was winning like 10 games.
Right.
Niggas was winning like 11 games. So they was winning about 15 games a season. There is a reason why after they drafted Kyrie Irving, they had Andrew Wiggins, which was a number 1 overall pick.
Right.
And let's not forget Anthony Bennett, which was another number 1 overall
right.
pick.
Horrible pick, by the way.
After Kyrie Irving. Huh?
I said that was a horrible pick, by the way.
Bruh, man, listen, son.
A waste of a tank season.
Son, just fucking terrible. And I think that's the same year Dame Lillard was drafted. But all right, let's not even go down that road. So you got mad high picks after him. And I think it was another one, but it wasn't another overall number 1 overall pick. I forgot what the other pick was. But basically, you was getting some very high draft picks. I think Tristan Thompson was drafted around that time. Am I wrong?
I'm not 100% sure.
I believe Tristan Thompson was drafted after Kyrie Irving. And if he was, it was another high pick is all I'm saying. So you basically was getting mad high picks after drafting Kyrie Irving, something that you literally drafted him to not do, to keep getting high picks. But the media was still being pretty friendly to him. Like he was still going to all-star games. He was still thought of as literally one of the best point guards in the league, even though he literally wasn't winning anything. And it wasn't until LeBron came into the Cavaliers when all of that shit changed.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
I'm following.
So literally after they won, well, I don't want to say they won their first championship because they lost their first season. I think they went to the finals and then that's when
Kyrie and K-Love got
Steph
hurt.
and them. Yeah, Kyrie, K-Love got hurt. Steph and them, they won their first chip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that second year is when they came back from the 3-1.
Right.
So even after all of that, after coming back from the 3-1 and shit, he hit the game winner, won the series. Kyrie Irving still wasn't thought of as the hero of that series, even though he was thought of so friendly in the media years ahead of that. It was all LeBron. It was LeBron who blocked the shot. It was LeBron who did that. It was LeBron who led the way, even though their stats was pretty similar when it came to, of course, scoring. So I'm just putting everybody in the perspective of how the media literally did kind of a 180 on Kyrie sort of kind of out of nowhere when LeBron joined. So that begs the question when, of course, he goes to the Celtics. Oh, it's definitely, you see the complete 180 because Kyrie Irving gets hurt again. And now it's not about him being hurt. It's now about him being a cancer on the team. And it's like, damn, he been in mad losing situations before when he was hurt and he wasn't thought of as a cancer. Why now all of a sudden he thought of as a cancer? Of course, we know the Celtics had a little bit of success before he came. Right. But at the end of the day, they still traded away some assets to get him. And then two, they still had kind of the same similar success because it ain't like they went to the finals. They was, facing trash teams they beat. The good teams that they had to go against got the better of them, basically. Mm-hmm. So, it's kind of the same results you got in the playoffs before you had Kyrie to, you got when you had after him. But the media was making it seem like he was the problem. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that because it's the same results you're getting. Of course, you wasn't expecting to get the same results. But the thing is, you got like LeBron in the East and then mad other people like Giannis and them coming up. And the Raptors, Kawhi and them coming up. So, but I'm just, again, putting everybody into perspective of the whole Kyrie Irving media turnaround. So that's his little tenure with the Celtics. Now we're looking at, of course, him going to the Nets and shit. Mm-hmm. That's when the shit completely became sour. And that's literally the first year of COVID, basically, the COVID lockdown year. When, of course, we didn't know what was going to happen. And this brings us to our third clip of the day. And it kind of pinpoints and put everything into perspective. Most people's problem, and to put it into more perspective, Stephen A. Smith's real problem with Kyrie Irving and people like him. And this is basically a first take clip that I'm going to be taking from December of 2020. So this is before the vaccine even came out and shit. So, okay. Let's go into Stephen A.'s real problem with Kyrie Irving.
And I'm going to try to be diplomatic, but I'm not going to hold back. To answer the question directly, Molly and Max, Kyrie Irving should not.
And you heard him. I'm going to try and be diplomatic, but I ain't going to hold back. So, he about to say some shit. He about to get some shit off his chest, right? Right. He basically just giving us that precursor. Hey, y'all, I'm about to go in on this nigga. So in turn, that's exactly what I'm going to do to Stephen A. Smith right now. I'm going to break down everything he's saying because this shit is pretty much ludicrous. Right.
And I'm going to try to be diplomatic, but I'm not going to hold back. To answer the question directly, Molly and Max, Kyrie Irving should not be forced to engage with the media. He doesn't want to talk to the media, fine. We won't miss him. But here's the reality. He should be fined every damn day he doesn't talk.
So that is a blatant fucking lie. We're not going to miss him. Mind you, again, this is December 2020 now. Mm-hmm. So this is before all of this shit. Kyrie Irving, still to this day, has been avoiding the media. But guess what the media hasn't been doing to Kyrie Irving?
And they still talking.
They have not been avoiding it. Right. Come on, bro. And this was well over a year ago. December 2020, out of his own mouth, Stephen A. Smith. Mm. Well, if he don't want to say nothing to us, we ain't gonna miss him. Nigga, the last 12 months, all you've been doing is talking about Kyrie Irving. And he ain't been saying shit about you. But you ain't gonna miss him. Come on, bro.
Make it make sense.
Do you see this shit?
It is interesting. And, I wonder what goes into the process as far as when it comes down to the topics that are discussed on these shows. Because I feel like someone like Stephen A. would have a say in that. But also, how much of it can we put on, the producers? Of the shows that's actually choosing the topics. And again, I don't know how the process is in that business. But it is interesting, that Stephen A. basically made a fool of himself by saying that because like you said, they have just been talking about Kyrie since then, pretty much.
Literally since he said that's all they've been doing. And I'm actually glad you brought that up because I'm sure that could be going through certain people's minds. So let me actually clarify that a little bit. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Stephen A. Smith and the leverage he has at ESPN, it is not to be underestimated, bro. This man makes way more money than anybody else at ESPN makes. Now, that could literally mean, oh, well, he's still an employee. Yeah, that's fine and dandy. But guess what? When you make that much, when you have that much sway, that much leverage, when you bring in that much of an audience, if you don't want to talk about something, you could tell them.
Right.
Because guess what? I could always bring my talents to Fox Sports, or I could always bring my talents to NBC. Or Stephen A. could bring his talents wherever he want to bring them. So if you don't want to talk about Kyrie Irving, really don't want to talk about him, it's not forced. That's a fact. And I done heard him literally say to Max Kellerman on certain topics, I don't want to talk about this with you no more. Yeah. And they don't talk about it no more. I'm sure you heard that before. So he definitely have sway and power when it comes to that shit. But I'm going to just go ahead and let the clip finish it, Ed.
You signed a contractual agreement. It comes along with your contract as an NBA player. This notion that you just get to go out on the basketball court and play, but you don't answer questions, you don't talk to the media, whatever. Understand what the media is. The media is a conduit to assist the NBA and its players in.
So you hear him, right? Mm-hmm. You hear what he's saying. He's basically saying, Kyrie Irving, shut up. You need me. You need us. You need the media. You hear him. He's basically saying that. He's basically saying you need to work with us. We are a conduit, which basically means we help you. We're a catalyst to helping the NBA be what it is as a brand, which in certain instances is the truth. But in all actuality, in 2021, is not the real truth. Social media does a great deal of that. Bleacher Report does a great deal of that. Really, a lot of shit outside of traditional TV does a great deal of that. So Stephen A. Smith is completely wrong when he's saying, oh, us, the media, as far as First Take, Get Up, Undisputed, these TV shows, we're the one that makes the NBA the interesting product that it is. To an extent, yeah, when y'all create these fake ass headlines, but in the real catalyst of things, what really gets people driving is social media nowadays. Let's keep it a buck, dog.
You know what? I actually want to challenge that, son. And this is the reason why I say that. Because, you know, we do see the direction that, you know, media is going in as far as social media. Quick little side story, something funny. So there's this gas station like 5 minutes from our house. And, you know, I ain't gonna say the name of it, but they got some pretty damn good chicken tenders, chicken, fried fish. I'm gonna tell you, they get down in that kitchen now. So it was so good. Yeah, it was so good. My girl went on social media, and this gas station has an Instagram account, and they're actually building another location 2 minutes from our house. So, you know, I talked to her about how, you know, I find it very interesting that, you know, in the past I've told her, you know, as much as I would love to remove social media from my life, it's needed to run business. And, you know, I pointed to that gas station as an example, because what gas station do you know that has Instagram accounts and actually markets like a regular business, you know? So, you know, we see the direction that, you know, social media is taking the business world. But I feel like when we get into sports, yes, social media is playing a big part in, you know, I guess basically just the way that we take in, you know, that content, the way they draw us into, you know, getting excited for watching a game. But at the same time, I feel like that social media limit cuts off at a certain age. And we have to account for the rest. Well, shit, I would be lying if I said I really knew the age. I'm going to just be conservative. If I had to guess, I would say that, and basically I'll tie this in with the point I'm making. I feel like the older sports audience, that is their only media outlet for sports. They not getting on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter and looking at news. They watching it straight from ESPN, from Fox Sports. So I would say, just to be conservative, I would say once you get to like that 50, 55-year-old mark, 50, 55 and up, I think their main consumption of sports news is television. So okay. I don't know if you have, the statistics on that or not, but, I feel like it's at this point, it's a 50-50 deal. But as we move more and more through the generations, it's probably going to shift solely to social media. I don't want to say solely, but a great majority of it will be social media.
Yo, he got a point.
And I won't lie to you. I, of course, don't have the numbers, but I agree with you when it comes to that much older audience, say if you're getting 50 and up. If you're falling below 50, that's when I have to disagree with you, because I've been on Twitter and I've seen Twitter accounts of older people literally talking about how MJ is this and that compared to LeBron. Again, fueling the NBA. Yeah. Or talking about Tom Brady and what he did compared to what John Elway did. Do you see what I'm saying? Or literally just pushing out memes, like memes of fucking Tony Snell doing 0.0 rebounds, 0 steal. Y'all already know what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah. Y'all already know what it is. And then you see what I'm saying? So like, it's not just necessarily just a debate. It's also the imagery that these people are pushing out that really furthers what I feel like causes debate. And then two, one of the more underestimated things that I feel like we really miss when it comes to the power driving of social media is the lists. Lists. The impact a list on Twitter makes compared to, say, a list that Stephen A. Smith can make is completely different. Whereas you can have a Bleacher Report say, what's the top 5 LeBron James moments? Or what's the top 5 LeBron James games? And LeBron is now trending on Twitter for the next 2 days, literally. Like, I literally just, and this is an example, right? We had, I think there was Double XL. Double XL tweeted some shit talking about it was a clip of Jay-Z on Clubhouse, actually, saying, nobody could mess with me in verses. He was basically saying nobody could stand across from me, and have their own, 20 songs hold up against me in verses. Bruh, that clip alone had Wayne trending for 2 days, son, on top of the trending shit for 2 days, son. Yeah. 2 whole days. And nobody, like, the clip didn't have nothing to do with Wayne. But just because of that, people know Jay-Z and Wayne is always going to be that little debate. There's always been that debate. Right. It had Wayne trending. So that's literally the power of social media. Like, it made this man's name relevant for 2 straight days. And I feel like that's kind of something that has the same thing to do with, say, the sports world, as far as the NBA, baseball, shit, football, all that shit. Like, anything that has to do with sports, it trends on Twitter for days sometimes. Yeah. And I feel like that impact that it has on people, of course, when you have billions of people on your platform seeing Tom Brady at the top of their tweets for 2 straight days, that can lead you to maybe watch the next Buccaneers game. Yeah,
I definitely get what you're saying. I'm following. But like I said, I just think it's more of a 50-50 thing. We have to, we do have to account for, the older audience. And, even like you saying, you see some 50-year-olds, hell, you might see some 60-year-olds on Twitter, but what percentage of that age range is really on there? You know what I mean? Right. So, it's some things that we may, of course, that they may have statistics for it. Well, yeah. And I'm about to say we have to account for Facebook as well. Right. But, even then I feel like they probably on Facebook just to keep up with friends and family. And again, there's no way to measure these things. I'm just, kind of throwing shit out there at this point, but yeah, it's a balance. I feel like right now.
And I agree with you. It is a nice little balance, but I don't agree that it's a 50-50 balance. I think that it's more so like 70-30 because we're forgetting another real big catalyst that's not social media or it's not traditional media like First Take and all this other shit. We forgetting fantasy.
Okay.
Bruh, fantasy pulls in so many viewers outside of what Stephen A. Smith and all these people be screaming about every morning because they just interested in their fantasy teams. And that's basketball, football, regardless of what it is. Same thing outside of fantasy, betting. Betting pulls in so many people just to watch the game I'm talking about. Because this is Stephen A. Smith. And remember in our clip, his whole point is, hey, you need us to bring viewers to your game. And it's like, bro, that's not the case. Because betting brings in a large amount of viewers now because people started passing these betting laws.
Oh, man, I'm so glad it's legal here in Louisiana. I might have to, hop on a little bit of that.
But I ain't gonna lie, I was thinking about it, but then I'm like, man, listen, I'm gonna just keep with these options. I'm gonna just keep fucking with these options, bro. The last thing I need with this COVID shit for a nigga to miss 2 weeks because listen, bro. Right. A triple vaccinated person to miss 3 weeks because of COVID. I ain't gonna go in, but So, but yeah, son, like with the betting shit, that brings in a very large amount of people. Fantasy brings in a large amount of people. Like we was mentioning with social media, that brings in a large amount of people. Like, bro, of course we interested in the drama of y'all screaming at each other, but y'all niggas don't really bring in the audience, bro. Y'all really don't. Not like y'all think y'all do. Right. And it's the arrogance that really just amazes me that he think it's really him. Like you could tell all in his tone and how he started screaming. Like he really think he's owed to be respected because it's him.
It's funny when you say the arrogance because the first thing came to mind was when him and KD was beefing. And that boy put the camera in my face. I want you to see my face. Hey, that's some funny shit, bro. Stephen is some comedy. Stephen is some comedy, bro. He is very arrogant. But I guess, when you've been doing something for so long and, you've been in that industry and you're as respected as you are, I guess it comes with the territory sometimes.
Yeah, I guess. But, it's really just amazing at certain points. So I ain't gonna need much hold you, dog. It's really amazing. I'm gonna just go ahead and finish the clip. And let him go ahead and, of course, further explain why Kyrie Irving and the NBA players need him. Let me rewind it just a few seconds.
You don't answer questions. You don't talk to the media, whatever. Understand what the media is. The media is a conduit to assist the NBA and its players in promoting its brand. That way it facilitates you generating more revenue. So
in order to make your money, to get more money, you need me.
Like Kyrie can get paid $33.4 million this year, $35 million next season, and then a player option to pay him $36.6 million in 22-23, even though you fresh over playing 20 games last season. Okay, that's the situation with Kyrie Irving that everybody needs to address. The bottom line is this: Kyrie Irving, as you said, Max, comes across looking. I'm not going to talk about what he is because I actually think he's a good guy.
And my whole thing is, he brings in the games with Kyrie Irving. My nigga, as a personal person who watched the damn Pelicans oh, wait, hold on, my bad. I'm going to start the clip again. But as a personal person who watched the Pelicans for well over 10 years, even when it was the damn Hornets, I've seen both Chris Paul and Anthony Davis miss mad games, damn near seasons being hurt. And everybody just kept quiet. But now all of a sudden, Kyrie Irving missing time because he hurt. Oh, it's an issue. And I'm like, fam. Now, of course, I understand when he was missing time for the personal time. But even then, there's been mad people who missed mad time over personal shit. I've seen it time and time again. Hell, I've seen coaches miss personal time because of a family thing. So it's like, why are we going in on Kyrie Irving about that? Right. But that's like one of his little favorite things to do.
You know what? Before you finish the clip, son, and it's just something that it just hit me, and I think we kind of looked over it. So I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like when we talk about the media, we have to keep into consideration too. Now, when we're talking about Kyrie talking to the media. I'm pretty sure, he's also including post-game interviews, that type of thing, right?
Right.
All right. So something we have to keep in mind is these social media platforms such as, Bleacher Report or Ball is Life. These platforms have representatives that goes to these press conferences and are asking questions, just like an ESPN representative would be there. So I feel like when he's saying, you have, it's in your contract and that, we're pushing, we're part of the reason why the NBA is as popular as it is. I don't think he's referring to just ESPN. I think he's referring to just media as a whole. And when you look at it that way, and cause like I said, Bleacher Report, Ball is Life, I'm sure I'm forgetting some other ones that, I look at. But these outlets are present for these interviews and these press conferences. So I feel like it's a little bit more than just, you need me or you need ESPN for, this NBA brand to thrive. I think he's putting all of those outlets in one basket.
So allow me something. Allow me to explain this. Mm-hmm. And you definitely do make a very good point with that, because you are very correct that there are other media outlets that are present, of course, during the press conferences and all these different type of things. Let me bring up two different things. One, Marshawn Lynch. Mm-hmm. Marshawn Lynch is a person who literally avoids the media his entire career when he was playing in the NFL. In fact, however, he was known for one big run called Beast Mode, the Beast Mode run against my very favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. I remember this specifically. This was the 2010 playoffs. They were 7-9. I could tell you everything about that game. Mm-hmm. The Saints was 10-6, and the damn Seahawks was 7-9. But all of that to say this: after that game, Marshawn Lynch became a household name, right? Mm-hmm. He always was one who necessarily didn't do too much talking during interviews. He became even more of a household name when he did this one specific interview saying this. He said, "I am just here so I won't get fined." When he did that, Marshawn Lynch's brand became universal. This man did Skittles commercials. Mm-hmm. This man was doing insurance commercials. This man, it's like literally taking what Stephen A. Smith said and throwing it right out the window. Because by him being such a solid person, it built his brand even more, because people became even more interested in him in his personal life, which made him be able to do more endorsements because people was now more familiar with Marshawn Lynch, the celebrity. Mm-hmm. This man was doing TV shows. I remember this nigga was doing safari shows and shit, catching snakes and shit. They had Marshawn Lynch hosting the ESPYs. Well, I won't say hosting, but they had him doing like so much shit. So it's like, fam, all because he said, I wanted to be away and silent to the media, because I basically took the exact same stance Kyrie took, but in the NFL lane.
But look, peep this. And it's just me playing devil's advocate here. So you say all that and how, that basically took his brand to the next level. Would that have happened had he not gone in front of the media and did that?
And that's my point. My point is, they make it seem like making it seem like, hold on. Yep, that's right. Of course, we just thought it would be a very beautiful time just to sit up here and consider how much value, of course, we got from this conversation so far. Of course, what me and LaRock has been delivering regarding Kyrie Irving, Stephen A. Smith, and, whatever else come with it. So we just want y'all to consider and think about everything that y'all got, and think about that PayPal that we got. Of course, think about that Cash App, and also think about that Venmo that we got tagged all in a link tree below in the show notes. And we do appreciate the value that y'all, of course, are going to give back. Of course, it don't matter what size the donation may be. And with all of that being said, we definitely do appreciate the people that's leaving those those kind notes. Of course, the people that's commenting in the YouTube, that's liking, that's subscribing, whatever it may be, sharing, of course, keeping people up on game about the ShiftMakers and, of course, the ShiftMakers family. All of those things are extremely valuable to us, just as you are listening all the way through. So we do appreciate that. We do appreciate you. And back to the show, Jeremy. What I was saying?
We were talking about, so basically I was saying that would he have gotten those opportunities had he not gone in front of the media and done those things? And had he not gone and said, I'm just here so I won't get fined? Because I feel like the media played a part in why that went viral. Because had he not gone there, we probably would have never got that moment. And then he probably would have never got as many opportunities. Not saying, he wouldn't get endorsements and opportunities, because we know the type of guy he is, and he really is as transparent as it comes and as real as it comes. But, had that moment not happened, would he be at the point he is now?
And my whole thing is yes, I truly do feel like that, because I feel like the thing that really took him there is social media. When he did that, he was trending on social media, I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And if you truly think about it, ever since he did that, it's been media companies that's been wanting him, which is, again, these endorsements. Mm-hmm. They've been wanting him compared to him wanting them, which is, again, contradictory of Stephen A. Smith's his whole reaction. His whole thing is, hey, they need us. We don't necessarily need y'all. And it's like, bruh, they're the reason you have a job right now. Mm-hmm. He keep on saying we don't have to talk about Kyrie Irving no more after this. And it's like, again, he's the reason you have a job. And to further explain that even more, you know that because literally after he said that, 12 months later, you still talking about him.
And you know what, bro? I think it's funny how, the world works, and everything in life has a balance. And I feel like when it comes to, players like athletes and the media, it's a great balance. And when I say the media, I'm just talking about everything as a whole. Like we said, from social media to TV to, whatever else may fall under that umbrella. But I will say that in the times we're in now, more so than ever, a normal person can build a platform around themselves. So just imagine having the leverage of being an athlete that's already known. You know what I mean? They can do so much now without even needing the media. So I just find that, I think that whole dynamic is very interesting. And I'm interested to see, where this goes in the next 5 to 10 years. Will we even need, television?
Hey, bro. Hey, hold that question down now. Hold that question down, because it sounds like you kind of read my little show notes right quick, bro, because that's exactly one of my little questions that I kind of had for you. Okay. So let's hold that one down for a little second, because we're going to get right back to that. But I do really appreciate all of the you playing devil's advocate in the situation, because it is a little bit more important that I explain, just that little dynamic a little bit more, because this is their attitude. And by there, I'm talking about the traditional media like television. Their attitude when it comes to sports, their whole persona and their mindset is they need us. So we can talk about them however we want to, and they have to respect us. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, ain't too long ago, Stephen A. Smith was calling Kyrie Irving stupid, an idiot, all this other shit for not taking the you-know-what. And it's like, bro, Kyrie Irving could never say that about Stephen A. Smith. And we know who have the more money and which one has more power.
Right. That boy Stephen A. fool, boy.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? But it just goes to show you the arrogance of these people.
Right.
And I'm going to go ahead and just finish this clip, because I know we got just another clip after this one. So let me...
$33.4 million this year, $35 million next season, and then a player option to pay him $36.6 million in 22-23, even though you fresh over playing 20 games last season. Okay, that's the situation with Kyrie Irving that everybody needs to address.
Because he was hurt.
The bottom line is this: Kyrie Irving,
You forgot to mention that.
as you said, Max, comes across looking. I'm not going to talk about what he is, because I actually think he's a good guy.
You're
I
lying.
actually think his heart is in the right place.
He lying.
But I think he's immature. I think that he's occasionally selfish. And I think at this particular moment in time, he comes off as a damn snob.
And that, my friends, is the perfect example of media projection. What Stephen A. Smith just did is projection in the highest degree. This man said the three things. He's immature. What else did he say? He said he's
selfish.
Hold on, selfish, and he said he's a snob. This man, this clip, even though we had to keep pausing it, I kid you not, this clip is 1 minute and 32 seconds. For 1 minute and 32 seconds, all Stephen A. did was say selfish shit, be immature in what he was saying, and then be snobbish by being so arrogant. But then he turns around and says those three things is what Kyrie Irving is. You can't make this shit up, bro. All Stephen A. Smith did this entire time was say, you need me, which is, I think, literally the epitome of being selfish. Am I right or wrong? And then he literally was saying, oh, you don't know what you're doing as far as the media and not responding to us, and just the dynamic of how much the leverage we have over y'all and answering questions because it builds y'all brand. And it's like, for one thing, you're absolutely wrong, because there's mad other ways they can do that. Very immature, Stephen A., for you to be so ignorant and not understand that shit. And then third, snobbish. We all know what snobbish means. Snobbish basically means you think you better than somebody else. Literally, that's what he was doing the entire clip, talking down to Kyrie Irving, thinking he's better than him, thinking he know more, thinking he... Every time he bring up Kyrie Irving, that's all he do is be snobbish. So it's like, son, how can you possibly say those three things to him when that's all you do is do that to him?
Right.
And it's just insane to me, because that's literally what these media companies do. If you just look in retrospect to pretty much anything, it's just so hypocritical and just so, yeah, it's just wild. But that leads me, that kind of leads me just to asking this. Just as far as Stephen A. go, do you feel like he kind of have an agenda regarding how he treats certain athletes, and Kyrie Irving, of course?
I'll say this. I feel like Stephen A., I don't think there's a agenda per se. I think Stephen A. just really, at times, because I don't want to say that, the networks can't influence their stances or their takes on, certain things. But I do feel like, Stephen A. is just saying what he feels at that point in time. And I think the fact that you were able to highlight the hypocrisy of the things he was saying can be used to point to the fact that, Stephen A. he's human. Humans are hypocrites. And I feel like, he probably was, telling his true feelings then and there. And, in a sense, it backfired because, like you said, they still talking about him to this day. And
exactly.
he was blatantly hypocritical. So it's like, I don't think there's an agenda there. I just think he just took a L. He just caught that L.
And I would normally agree with you, because I try, you know me, I try not to be conspiratorial. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, of course not. So, I normally would agree with you, but in this instance, I definitely do feel like it could be an agenda. And there's a reason why. I just don't normally say those things without at least having something in my back pocket to back it up, you dig? So I bring to you this clip, and it's a clip a little bit of a few months ahead of our previous clip in December of 2020. This is in June of 2020. And it's basically Stephen A. Smith on Kyrie Irving. Basically his comments talking, and this was again during the lockdown. So I'm going to put y'all in the perspective of us being during the lockdown, June 2020. So a few months after everything went crazy, the NBA still haven't started back up yet. So this is what we in now. This is the time frame we in. And Kyrie Irving, his comments was, "Hey, bro, I think we should build our own league." And then he also said, I don't think it would be smart for us to go back and start up the NBA again, because that'll just be putting ourselves back in the same situation of having to rely on these owners. And you know how that shit go, right? So, yeah, Kyrie Irving had those very interesting comments. And, oh, my goodness, when he said that, the media was on his ass. And before we get into the clip, let me just explain something right quick. We do understand that the NBA has finals. The NBA Finals is basically like the Super Bowl, but it's a 7-game series. The NBA Finals is the contract for the finals, for viewing and broadcasting the finals, is brought out by ABC.
Right.
ABC is a partner of ESPN, which is all owned by the overlord Disney. We all understand this. If you don't, go back to our, episode 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes ago when we was talking about these major media companies. Maybe it was like 2 episodes ago. I don't remember. But yeah, all I'm saying is we have to put all of that into perspective now. Stephen A. Smith is hired by ESPN, again, the company that shows the NBA Finals. So if the NBA Finals isn't being broadcast, or if it isn't basically being had because of Kyrie Irving saying, hey, we shouldn't necessarily go back and return to the NBA right now, then that could possibly significantly hurt ESPN and Disney's pockets. You see what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Because it is their Super Bowl.
Right.
Because they don't have a Super Bowl, they have the finals. The only people who have a Super Bowl is NBC, CBS, and Fox. Those are the only people who show the Super Bowl, which is, again, the biggest thing on TV over the last 10, 15 years now.
Right.
The finals is the only other thing that's competing with that, which really isn't competing, but it's almost competing.
Right.
And that's solely on ESPN, ABC, which is ESPN and Disney. So, with all of that being said, we would understand why that, again, would make Stephen A. Smith pretty mad and pretty pissed, because he could possibly lose out on a lot of fucking money. So, now that we got all of that into perspective, now let me play this clip on Stephen A. Smith.
Here's my problem. I am entitled, and I'm not directing this at you, I'm just talking to you. I am entitled to disagree with them without being accused of attacking them.
And you're talking to Max.
I'm attacking what you do. Meaning that if I'm not talking about Kyrie the person. I'm not talking about Kyrie the man. I'm not talking about Kyrie the basketball player. I'm talking about the Kyrie statement. The statement is what I have an issue with, because it makes no sense to me. I'm entitled to sit up there as a black man and say,
it makes no sense, basically call him stupid.
No. From a historical perspective, from a today relevant modern perspective, it makes no sense. You can't sit up there. Of course, money's not everything, Max. But in the end, when we talk about what the NFL is giving, when we talk about what the NBA is giving, what we talk about what the players and others.
Now, remember his terminology. The NBA is given. The NFL is given, not earned. These players don't earn none of this shit. They're giving it. So let's just keep in mind his terminology that he's using.
The black community are in pursuit of to help our communities, uplift our communities, and stop subjugating and minimizing and dehumanizing us. That takes money. It's not just a symbolic gesture. It doesn't just take a knee. It takes you marching up on Capitol Hill. It takes you elevating the level of awareness.
And he's just going on and on about how they need to go to Capitol Hill to make a change and shit. And basically saying, it takes money, which is why they can't stop playing. Because y'all need to make sure y'all get y'all checks so y'all can continue to make a difference in the black community, because it takes money. It ain't got nothing to do with these contracts that we got, of course, with the NBA finals or the NBA playoffs. Nah, it's just more so that y'all make a very significant impact in the black community. So we need to make sure y'all stay playing, you know?
I'm following.
So, yeah. And I'm gonna let him finish.
Mobilizing and galvanizing folks to go on Capitol Hill to make sure and incentivizing the Stephen Rosses of the world. The Robert Krafts of the world. The Arthur Blanks of the world. And that's just football. I'm talking all of them. Dan Snyder. Yes, Jerry Jones too, and others. It takes all of them. You've got the muscle and the connections and the cachet to go make a difference. In the NBA, whether it's Fertitta, it's Joe
So he just keeps on naming more and more white people after basically saying, hey, we supposed to pull ourselves up, we supposed to pull a black community up ourselves. Then at less than 10 seconds later, he starts saying we need to rely on these owners, which is of course nothing but white people. Yeah. You can't make this shit up with this nigga, son. I ain't gonna lie. And he does it so angry to make it seem like he's making a point. But if you really get down to thinking about what he's saying, it's like, son, you the one that ain't making no damn sense. Saying Kyrie Irving not making sense. Like, you can't say we need to rely on ourselves and our paychecks in order to help uplift the black community. And then less than 10 seconds later, oh, y'all need to keep playing because y'all need to rely on the owners. Like, come on, my nigga. And of course, I agree that it takes money to make a change. I'm not disagreeing with that. But my whole thing is like this, bro. If you could sit up here and make your own league, or you could sit up here and just not play for a year to actually gain leverage over these owners because that's going to significantly hurt them. If you could do that, why not? If you actually really trying to do something, if you're really trying to make a change, if you're really trying to change some laws or whatever it may be.
Right. And I remember when this whole debate was going on, and I actually, and I don't remember if we talked about this on a previous podcast, but I actually kind of sided with the fact that, put pressure on the owners, put pressure on where the money is coming from, because at the end of the day, they concerned with the money going in their pockets. So if we stop that flow of money by stop playing, then we kind of gain that leverage because they need us. Now, exactly. At the same time, the argument can be made that, well, if you don't do it, they got some black folk that will come and play for the money. But, at that point, they'll be throwing away an established product already, So that was also a pretty interesting dynamic. From what Stephen A was saying, it kind of don't make sense. You talk about uplifting the black community, but, then you name Robert Kraft, which, don't get me wrong, as a Patriots fan, I love me some Robert Kraft, but, that's just kind of defeating the whole purpose of what you're saying.
And my whole thing is like this, and I 1000% agree with you when you said, not that stoppage of play is going to put some pressure on them. And it is, by them, I'm talking about the owners. It is going to now sway a little bit more leverage into the players and they're, for them to do what they want in a sense. And my whole thing is like this. If you know good and well that the owners, they literally need you because they can't just rely on other, like you were saying, or they could just find some other black people. They can't necessarily do that when it comes to basketball. Basketball is literally a game of stars. You take the stars away, you have just a game. That's a fact. You can't do that shit with the NBA. You can maybe get away with it with the NFL because, there's a new crop of stars damn near every year. But even then, it takes like 2 or 3 years for them to fully develop into stars. The only one person I could think of who was a star off the rip was Patrick Mahomes. Right. And that ain't common. So even then, you still need the stars in order to, it's a reason why Tom Brady been playing for the last 22, 21 plus years. It ain't just because, he trying to keep winning. No, it's because the NFL needs them. So he knows he has power and he's going to have more power in his position than any other job or any other thing he do. But yeah, all I'm saying is, bro, is that these owners and shit, they definitely do know that at the end of the day, these players hold the most amount of leverage. They just need to be fully aware and fully awakened in that leverage and know that they actually hold it. The only thing is it's going to take time to fully yield that leverage. And by that, I mean, say, for instance, if they would have stopped that play last year, if the NBA would have stopped playing for a year and they still would have stopped, guess what? They probably would have been in talks about building their own league at this point. Once they started that, mind you, it would have taken maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 10 years to get to the level it's at right now. But at the present status of stars that they are in the league right now, it could have got to that point. And it wouldn't have taken that long. Right. Again, you have all types of ways to quickly grow things nowadays. We didn't see businesses grow in a matter of months nowadays because of the advent of the internet. So there's no way in hell it would have been hard for me to be convinced that the NBA or another NBA 2 would have been hard to grow in a matter of months. You know, when you got all these other type of businesses doing the same shit. So, you know, there's that. And then 2, there's mad other people who would have been willing to invest in this NBA 2 because, of course, it's a whole new investment opportunity. Yeah, that isn't tied down by another company like NBA 1. So, you know, it ain't like the money and shit would have been hard to come by. Like you would have had mad black people who couldn't buy a team. You know, back in the previous NBA 1 who would have been willing to invest in NBA 2. You also would have had mad other entities been willing to do that shit. Yeah. So the money thing that Stephen A. Smith keep on making it seem like, oh, it would have been a problem getting the money. It wouldn't have been like that. And that's a fact. That is an absolute fact. Because you got mad people right now to this day trying to buy sports teams. Right. So you can't convince me if a new league would have popped up that them people still wouldn't have been interested. In fact, there'd probably be more people interested.
Right. Because now you're getting a player-built product.
Right. You're getting a player-built product. And then, 2, you literally getting a whole cheaper investment opportunity. To buy the Clippers, it was billions of dollars. Right. To buy a whole new team from a league, it probably cost you millions. Of course, it's still very expensive. Not saying we got that in our pockets right now, but it's nowhere near what it would cost, you know, an already established product. So all I'm saying is, it's like this false narrative that in order for black people and NBA players and sports people to build their own league and do whatever they want to do, that they can't do it, that is a complete false thing. Of course, it's going to take time, but you got to really imagine, okay, in 2025 or in 2032, what is NBA 2 going to look like if they would have actually started a new league last year? Like,
yeah, bro. You know, it is interesting to think about, you know, what the possibility of that could be. And 2, like, I guess like with the NFL, you can look at the XFL, you know, how that experiment kind of went. And if it weren't for COVID, I think they could have built a pretty good product, especially because like you're saying, you know, now with and I really believe it would actually be easier now more so than ever to actually build a competing league against the NFL and NBA, because now that you have access to what their customers are complaining about, you can take what they're complaining about and add that to your product. And now you're giving them something that they actually want to watch, which is what the XFL did with certain rule changes. Not even rule changes, but just the rules that they implemented in their league. That alone, I specifically remember, you know, talking to coworkers, friends, whatever. And, you know, they say, oh, well, I like this rule. That's why I like watching, you know, the XFL games. So I feel like, you know, the opportunity is definitely there. And, you know, there definitely can be some competition when it comes to these leagues, but you know, we'll see what happens.
And Big 3, you heard of the Big 3, right?
Of course.
Big 3 with Ice Cube. I personally have watched at least like 3 Big 3 games. I haven't watched them in a while. I don't even know if they still do that shit.
They still do.
You know, they still do, because I was about to say, I know Ice Cube then got himself in some trouble, so the media may not be fucking with him no more. But as far as the Big 3 and shit go, bro, I actually watched a few, and them shits was actually pretty entertaining. Now, of course, they ain't as entertaining as the NBA game, but they are pretty entertaining because they basically just a little ISO. It's a 3-on-3 ISO for the most part. And the thing is with them, most of the players are past NBA stars. Right. So again, you now have the audience, which is why they was able to get. Have you ever watched a Big 3 game?
Of course. I love the and you know what else I love about that too, bro? Not only did they have former NBA stars playing, but they also have former NBA stars coaching those teams too.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'll say I didn't actually catch, I probably only caught one, you know, series of games, live. Because I think they broadcast like maybe 4 or 5 at once, and I'm not sure. But definitely when the season's going on and when they got to the playoffs, I was watching the highlights every day. just to keep up with, what's going on, especially ISO Joe.
Yeah, I was just
by the way, yeah, you know I'm loving him on that Celtics pickup. But yeah, for sure.
Y'all ain't gonna do shit. Y'all ain't worth shit, boy.
Niggas be hating, boy. I saw.
Niggas ain't worth a piece of fucking bubble gum. Niggas ain't even worth a bag of Lay's, boy. A bag of Zaps.
Heat fans go to the finals.
ISO joke.
Heat fans go to the finals. Think they got it, boy.
You're damn right. You're damn right. But nah, though, so I do agree with you. I do agree with you when it comes to, of course, just how attractive even people like ISO Joe made the big three. Like those level of stardom, that type of shit. And again, these retired players, even though he just came back, these players who've been retired and they still brought a lot of eyes to their product. Like, bro, that shit was on Fox.
Right.
Like the main Fox channel, not no fucking side Fox channel, which goes to show you that shit has to bring a certain amount of eyes. Or the producers wouldn't even allow it to be on that channel. It would be on Fox Sports or like a side Fox channel.
FS1.
Exactly. So that goes to show you, bro, like this shit, people is interested in it. And again, it was like, bro, I remember when somebody hit like a game-winning shot, like Nate Robinson or some shit, niggas be trending on Twitter like it's an actual NBA game.
Yeah.
Literally trending on Twitter, son. Showing the replay and shit. So that goes to show you it's much easier for you to do that shit and grow that type of shit. Now, and then two, you got YouTube. You got these things like Bleacher Report, House of Highlights, all these different things where you could just clip certain highlights to make people more interested in the actual game now and get in front of even more eyes outside of just relying on Sports Center Top 10.
Right.
So, I mean, people don't even watch that shit no more, Sports Center Top 10.
And
so, yeah.
I'm about to say, I'll do you one better too. Especially with the way, you just spoke to like House of Highlights, Bleacher Report. I'm more than certain, even if those platforms don't post, like just to use Big Three as an example, I find it hard to believe that the Big Three couldn't say, well, we'll give you $10,000 and to give us, 10 posts for over the next two or 3 months, something along the lines of that, and now you basically still getting those eyes on it, even if it wasn't organic, but now you still building that traffic up, just like you would do a promo post for $15, on our scale.
Hey, bro.
So,
that's exactly what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say now, that's exactly what they're doing.
Right.
That's a good example.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Like these new products, they'll go to these social media accounts that's already established. Who got 1.2 million followers, 4.5 million followers. And then, of course, they'll say, hey, bro, why don't you throw a highlight every single Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at this time, highlighting these three players, one highlight for this one highlight for this one highlight for this one. And then we'll throw you a few, maybe 20 bands, 30 bands for the month. And boom, there you go. Now you literally have this influence marketing. It's literally all it is. But instead of it being like a person influencer, it's a company that's influenced.
Don't you love capitalism?
Don't you love it, bro? Don't you love it? And yeah, it's like all of that just kind of leads me to say this. It really wouldn't be that difficult of a thing for people to stop what they're doing as far as these NBA players, these NFL players stop what they're doing and actually build their own leagues if they really truly wanted to.
Right.
And I think that truly is the thing where the animosity for Kyrie Irving truly begin to sprout. And the overall hate in the media for him, it truly began to go full throttle. Is when he said that, because again, this was in June 2020 when he said that, because they had mad ammo. They had the Christmas thing, they had the flat Earth thing. We didn't brought up mad clips, but when he said that, that's when they said, "Oh shit, he is going to significantly affect our pockets." Because again, if they built their own league, they can now get a contract with, like Big Three did with Fox. They could get a contract with CBS. Boom.
Right.
ESPN then lost all of their profits regarding their biggest attraction, which is the NBA Finals. Right. Which means Stephen A. Smith's $10 million deal, how is that going to get paid for? Because now the advertisers, they not going to have those amount of views that I'm talking about ESPN, they ain't going to have, they can't go to these advertisers and say, oh, we got 3 million views that's coming in every June because of the NBA Finals. Nah, bro. The finals ain't that no more. So now the advertisers ain't going to be paying ESPN.
Real talk, son. And I find it hard to believe that, especially from a player that's, of course, we know Kyrie, at least from what we see, he's cool. He's cool with a bunch of other NBA players, which this is the most friendly era anyway. But, and not to say that's a bad thing, but, oh man, if Kyrie was to start a league, I have a hard time believing a lot of the best players, the stars, wouldn't follow and go to his league and build shit up from there. Especially too, they have the money now. They can throw money at it and get stakes in it too. Hey, bro, that would be a great business opportunity.
But they got out of it ahead of time. By this, I mean in the media, they got out of that shit ahead of time by calling Kyrie an idiot, by calling him stupid, by saying he don't make sense. Like Stephen and Smith keep on saying, the shit. When you do that, again, it's part of the shaming process that we mentioned in our brainwashing episode. When you're able to shame the shit out of somebody or an entity, you're able to brainwash a commodity, which is, of course, the audience. You're able to brainwash them into thinking anything that person that you shamed say, it don't make sense and it's stupid. And if you believe it, then in turn, you stupid, which is why they always to this day bring up the flat earth comment shit. Even though Kyrie Irving tried to clarify that in his reasoning and saying that shit.
You opened my eyes this episode, bro. I'm going to have to pay a little more attention, to the way they cover him now. Especially now with him in COVID protocols and soon to be back playing, some road games with Brooklyn. It's interesting to pay attention to.
Bro, they loved Kyrie Irving not being on that court. If you really want to be honest, they love that shit. Because now it leads less eyes to him and what he was saying a year ago as to why we needed to start our own league. Well, him, basically directly quoting that we should start and build our own league.
Right.
The less he on the court, the less credence that can give to that statement. So I say all of this to say this: 5 to 10 years down the line, what would a new NBA look like? Hell. 5 to 10 years down the line, what would the ShiftMakers look like? And really, all of that has to do with how you support, how you choose to support, and of course, if you feel like you're being brainwashed, how you choose to step out of that. And I mean, we of course don't choose to take any advertising dollars from anybody solely because we don't want to turn like ESPN, having to rely on shitting on somebody like Kyrie Irving in order to make some advertising money. But what we do rely on, of course, is them donations. So if you want to give some value back, definitely don't be afraid to do that. You can definitely do that just by looking at our show notes. We have a link tree listed. We also have a CashApp. We got a PayPal, and we also got a Venmo where you can, of course, just consider all of the value you got from the previous 1 hour and 20 minutes, and then just consider giving it back. Whatever size donation you want to give, we definitely do appreciate that. And I mean, that ain't the only way to give value. Of course, if you want to take a look at our YouTube channel, subscribe to that, you dig? Of course, go to our Instagram, leave some comments, leave some likes. Just tell us how you feel about the show. Of course, follow us. We definitely do appreciate that. We all can be found at the ShiftMakers. Also, going to our Twitter, following us there, interacting with us, engaging with us there. That just really, honestly, it helps us grow the audience and it helps us get the content that you like out to more people. So we definitely do appreciate that. And of course, just leaving a review on any of your podcast apps. If you like it on Apple Music, if you like it on Spotify, just leave that little 5-star review and tell us a quick little sentence. Hey, we like this. Hey, y'all did a good job. Or tell us, of course, what you didn't like. We definitely do appreciate those things too. So with all of that being said, I am your host, L, the designer. Co-hosting along with me, of course, we got LaRock. You heard me?
You already know.
That's right. That's right. And this is episode 20 of the ShiftMakers podcast. Of course, checking in live from Color Command Creative Studio out here in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, shit, I already said it. But yeah, this is episode 20 of the ShiftMakers podcast.
I think that's a great way to end episode 20.
I didn't know what else to say at the end of that bitch. But yeah, son, that's good. We go.